when inspiration strikes, go with it, right? I'm here in this beautiful bushland, and it must be really stirring up my creative flow, because as I'm walking the dogs here, I just keep having these flashes of inspiration land. And as I was walking today, I suddenly remembered a conversation that occurred a few weeks ago when my grandfather showed up. Now, this is my grandfather from my mum's side, who passed away when I was, I think, 11 or 12 or something like that. Anyway, every now and again, he'll pop up in my awareness, and this was happening as I was contemplating approval. And, you know, some sources say that 80% of what drives us, of everything that we do, is driven by an underlying current of seeking approval. So approval from whom? One of the most common things that I have heard people say over the years of working with many clients is that everyone really at some point will say, I just want to feel free to be me. I want to feel safe to be who I am. And that's great, and that's beautiful, because that is what we're here for, to be who we are, right? And yet, when there's been so much conditioning layered on top that who you are is not enough, is not okay, doesn't match up to the criteria set by whomever, wherever, throughout the generations, then this creates a little conundrum. And so, why did my grandfather show up at this pivotal time? It was amazing. Sometimes when you're doing healing work, maybe you've experienced this, and maybe this is new to you, but wherever you are, I'm sure you can remember or have experiences of where certain words will really, really trigger certain emotional response within you, right? Like even hearing the word money, I mean, my God, that will stir up a whole lot of stuff. Good, bad, ugly, everything in between, right? So when you have grown up with different languages, or you speak different languages, and you'll know that there are different meanings assigned to different words. And so my grandfather showed up, and it dawned on me that he had never really approved of some of the actions of my mum until she started to be successful according to his definitions and his criteria. And up until that time, because he didn't approve of some of the choices my mum had made, that was also passed on to the grandchildren, her children, including me. And I always felt that when we would go and see my grandparents, you know, I loved my grandmother, and she loved me, and we loved spending time together. But my grandfather, I really rarely saw him. And I know that some of my other cousins spent a lot more time with him. And so what occurred to me was that in Dutch, the word approval is goedkeuring. And literally translated, that is like you go and have a medical examination. This is a good examination. Goedkeuring, good examination. Wow. You know how you can have one of these moments where something just suddenly lands and you get this aha, light bulbs go off? I realized that I had somewhere taken on my grandfather's disapproval, so not having given me the pass on the examination of being good according to his criteria. And as he was a self-made multi-millionaire and had stories running that, you know, even with my mum saying to her it's too bad that she was born in a female body, because otherwise she would have been great in the business. You know, business was men's domain and money was men's domain, and so that was all passed down genetically. Fascinating, right? So my grandfather showed up, and when I had this awareness of this word and the meaning, and him then saying to me, it was never true, you know, and you don't need my approval to be you. So there was some forgiveness there. There was a really beautiful heart-to-heart chat, soul-to-soul chat with him, and feeling the energy shift within me. It was really quite remarkable. So where in your life, I wonder, might seeking approval be playing out? This is stuff, you know, that happens under the surface and is often held deeply unconscious levels. So if you're thinking about, you know, where are you fully being you? With whom do you feel safe to really be you? Where are you hiding out or dimming your light or dumbing down your brilliance when you're around certain people or perhaps in certain situations? I'm just curious. And what would happen if you were to say, you know what, anywhere and everywhere that I may have been seeking approval, trying to, live up to criteria, I don't even know what they are, and as they're not my own, and not even, you as an infinite being of divine light that you are, that each of us are, we don't need to approve of who we are. We're amazing. And yet the cultural conditioning and the ancestral coding and programming and all the agreements based in fear that have been passed down for so many generations, and all the stuff that's floating around in the collective will have had you question whether you can be accepted as you are, and so whether you can be loved for who you are, and will have you possibly even be afraid of speaking up for what it is that you really want, what you really desire, out of fear of upsetting others or people disapproving. And so you go into trying to please everybody, keep everybody happy, and thereby settling for less than what you deserve. And what you deserve, and what each and every one of us deserves, is to be fully supported with expressing our brilliance in the world, expressing our gifts and talents. And that comes down to letting yourself clear the crap that you may have taken on, that it's not okay or safe to be you. And imagine, with all of that crap turned into fertilizer, what can you sprinkle onto the dreams that are in your heart that you may have forgotten about? What becomes possible for you when you allow all that energy to be transformed and to be optimized, to be in resonance with the truth of who you are, the light that you are, and then go about showing up in your life knowing that you don't need to be anything other than you. And getting that up here is one thing, letting that really be felt within the body. Whether anybody else approves or disapproves, can you allow yourself to be you? Do you even know what that feels or looks like? Sometimes, I know for myself, over the last few months, I've been doing a lot of deep healing work and clearing and deconditioning. Diving into the quantum human design has been so much fun for me. It's like providing this amazing map that gives me really quick access to seeing where energy may have been trapped, where I may have been living out the low frequency expression of my gifts and talents, where I've picked up stuff, where energy is likely to be held, passed down through the generations, and there's just so much more to all of this. And then being able to see that for others too. So as I've been practicing and implementing and clearing this stuff and deconditioning all those limitations at yet a whole other level, there comes a point where when you have cleared this stuff which has been playing out in the duality game on this planet, and the more that this is cleared and released from you, there comes a point where all of a sudden it's like you are light lifted out of the matrix that was functioning on this planet for, holding this planet for so long, with all the agreements that were created in fear that have kept us judging. Anytime that you judge, you're creating separation. It's fear driven. And when any of that stuff is playing out and it's been, held in your body and the unconscious, then clearing this stuff out takes dedication. And sometimes you need an experience like, like I just had the other day when my grandfather just showed up, and suddenly have this awareness that I was ready for. I'm like, oh, wow, that young girl had been trying to gain the approval of my grandfather in an attempt to help my mum feel better about herself and recognize and know her value and her worth, and that she didn't need her father's approval, but a lot of her life was lived trying to get that. So for however many years, that's been influencing what I have or have not allowed myself to be and do. Amazing. So as that is now cleared, it's like, wow, so much energy was unleashed. And, looking to see where that may be happening in your life. And then, dog's going a little crazy here playing. Anyway, just have a look to see where may that have been driving you, where are you seeking approval, and what becomes possible when you allow yourself to be light lifted out of that. Go quantum level jumping. And if any of this resonates with you, then you are going to love the 40-day Quantum Abundance Reset. I'll share more about that soon. Have a great day.